Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to be going over damage, how to get high damage, what damage looks like, not necessarily like damage numbers, but what does high damage look like, what is damage that actually matters, things like that, right? So I'm going to be using the Boltor Prime for this example. The same process pretty much goes for any weapon. With most weapons, there will be some differences. So, for example, beam weapons will be modded slightly different than a shotgun, or an assault rifle might be modded a little bit differently than a secondary or a melee, right? But the same concepts and the same foundations still apply, right? And everything that you see over here does not matter for this at all. The points are still going to be proven and everything like that. So don't worry about this. So most people, when they mod their weapon, they do something like this. They go, all right, I need damage. All right, I need damage. Let me find damage. All right, serration. Right. All right. Now I need critical damage, and I need critical chance. Yeah, get some critical damage, critical chance, and now I need some fire rate. Let me get some fire rate. Let me get speed trigger, right? And then they might see an element, right? They might see an element and they might go, oh yeah, I love me some cold. Let me give me some cold on there. So they go, all right, yeah, let me give some cryo rounds, right? Oh man, yeah, this is good. This is good. Let me give some ammo drum. Let me get some what else can I put on here? Let me give me some hammer shot. Right? Oh yeah, I'm cooking. I'm cooking. This is gonna kill. This is gonna slaughter. This is gonna slaughter. And they come up here to steal path enemies and they shoot them and they go, oh no. It's not doing anything. Right? It's doing nothing. And they start thinking, they go, man, why is my weapon not doing anything? Why is this not why is this not killing? And so some people might go, okay, I need more crit. Some content creators will say that. They'll go, oh yeah, you need more crit, right? You need more crit. All right. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's put point strike. Let's put critical delay. Sorry. Put some fast hands on there. Get that reload speed up. And yeah, that should work, right? You get more crit chance. So they come back up here and they go, oh, I'm ready now. And it does the same thing. It does the same thing. And so they think, man, I wonder what the issue is. Why am I dealing such low damage? And I will tell you what the issue is. And it is not your crit. For some reason, everyone thinks that your damage needs to be red. That you have to have red crits. You have to. End all be all. You gotta have red crits for your stuff to be good, right? There's a lot of people that believe that. And I'm here to tell you that that's a load of barnacles. That is not at all how it is. And it sucks that people push that because that's not how it is at all. Where your damage comes from is status. Sure, crit chance and crit damage will play a role. But if your weapon does not naturally hit red crits, for example, there is a weapon named the Torrid. The Torrid's Incarnate mode, which is a special thing that you can put on the Torrid, will hit just innate red crits. It will do it naturally, it will do it without you really needing to try. That's just what it does, right? In that case, sure, absolutely. The Bratton Incarnate, the Burstin Incarnate, the Lex Incarnate, everything like that will naturally just hit red crits because of the nature of the weapon, right? So, in those cases, it's fine. It's fine for them to hit that damage because they naturally hit it. They naturally get to that point without you needing to fork over, you know, everything that you know and love to be able to get them to do that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one of the easiest and most common status effects. I'm not saying this is the best. I'm just saying this is the most common status effect that people will run on their weapons, and it is viral. And the way that you make this status effect is you take a toxin mod right here, and then you take a cold mod, and you put them together. And when you put them together, it makes viral. And you can read right there what viral does, right? So 325 additional damage to health, right? So that's pretty good. Now, if you're going to run that, you usually pair it with another status effect, and that status effect comes in the form of a mod called Hunter Munitions. Now, you can either run Hunter Munitions, right? You can either run that, or you can run a heat mod. They both accomplish pretty much the same thing, right? You're going to see a very minor difference in damage depending on which one you choose. It is entirely up to you, right? Entirely up to you. So, when you have this combination of either viral heat or viral toxin from this, you get something that will do dot damage over time. Heat is going to strip up to 50% of enemy armor, which, by the way, armor is the reason why when you get to Steel Path and things like that, armor is the reason why your weapons start to fail and not do as much damage as they should. It's the armor of the enemies. Now, if you go up against Corpus, or you go up against Infested, or you go up against the Indifference or anything like that, you're not going to notice armor because they don't have any. Corpus have shields, Infested don't have anything. They're just health, right? So for them, this is obviously going to still melt them. I mean, you can try to spec into killing Infested based on their specific damage type that they're weak to. You can do that. I don't recommend it, but you can. That's something that you absolutely can do. So this is, the heat is going to strip 50% of the armor, right? So let's go with heat. Heat is probably something that a lot of you have over Hunter Munitions. Hunter Munitions, you kind of have to go out of your way to get it. So now we got this going on, and now we think, let's try that. Let's try that on its own. See what that does, just on its own. And you'll notice we have 3 mods. 3 mods. And you are seeing a vastly different outcome in damage. And we have 3. We have 3, by the way. That's it. That's it. 3 mods. So now let's go back. We go, okay. Well, if criticals are good in some capacity, which they are, let's put critical delay on there, right? And then another thing that's really good is multi-shot, right? So let's go up here. Let's type in multi-shot. Let's take split chamber. Put that on there. For crit chance, let's go with the mod that most of you will have, which is point strike. And then if we want some critical damage, well, we might as well get some critical damage on there since we're already going for that. And then, you know, maybe from there we want, maybe we want some status damage, right? I don't know, just throwing something on here. Let's say we want that, right? And then maybe for the last one, let's say we want some fire rate. So we want speed trigger, right? So this is pretty decent, right? Throw some random stuff on there. You kind of get the feel of what you're looking for. Let's try that. Much better. Much better. Now, what you'll notice, if you got your peepers, is that the damage numbers are not very high, right? These damage numbers are 8,000, 7,000, 9,000, 1,000, right? the damage numbers are low. But you'll notice they're not base damage numbers. They are viral damage numbers. That is a difference. Viral heat damage numbers. Those are different. That is a difference in damage. That's why whenever you see my weapon builds or you see anything like that, I don't sit there and base its effectiveness and its damage based on the numbers. And I don't like when people do that because the numbers are so misleading, right? I had one guy, he came in here and he pulled up his weapon. He said, "Dude, this number right here, this total, it's 15,000." He said, "My weapon does so much more damage than yours. So much more." So I brought him into here. The simulacrum is what this area is called. And I summoned in the enemies and I said, "Okay, shoot them. Shoot them." And he shot them. Barely any damage. Barely. Didn't even really put a dent in them. And he's like, "Look at how much damage I'm doing. Oh man, look, there's so much damage." I was like, "Okay." I said, "That's cool." I pulled out my build. I shot them once and all of them died. I said, "That's what it should be doing." And he was like, What is your damage number?" And I said, "My damage number is like 2,000. Maybe, if that." I said, "That's what my damage number is." So that's why whenever I make builds for weapons or anything like that, I do not look at the numbers. I look at the TTK. I look at the time that it takes to kill a given enemy, right? That's what I look at. So once you get to, well, actually, let me back up for a second. If you're early game, one thing that you can do is you can run base damage mods, because you're at the point in the game where it's really not going to affect you too much, right? You can run some base damage mods with some fire rate, that kind of thing. You can do that, and that'd be fine for early game. And as you can see, these are Steel Path enemies, by the way. You could run this build in Steel Path and be shredding just as well as this weapon is right now, right? Just as easily, with very minimal setup, right? So, and this, I mean, this is the build. This is just a basic build. Now, let's say you want to do more damage. What you're going to do is you're going to go and get these mods. These mods are called galvanized mods. They basically take the existing mod and they step it up a little. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace galvanized chamber, or sorry, we're going to play split chamber with galvanized chamber. We're going to replace galvanized scope with, oh, sorry, capacity. We're going to do that, right? We're going to take, pretty sure this can go on. Yep. We're going to take critical delay for some extra critical chance, right? Put it on there. Then we're going to take a fire rate mod, any kind of fire rate mod, right? So we're going to take shred. Actually, let's do speed trigger. We're going to do speed trigger. Put it on there. And now we got these that are a little bit of a step up, right? So now we're going to summon in some new enemies right here, just so that you can see them all fresh. We're going to try this out. So it's going to go through. It's going to kill one, and you're going to see it is absolutely decimating. It is decimating these enemies. Very quickly, right? And once you get into Steel Path, you will start to see acolytes that spawn, and they will drop Arcanes, which is what goes up here. But before I talk about Arcanes, I want to talk about another status that is very good. And this status is Corrosive. Corrosive is a very good status effect, and the way that you get it is you take Toxin and you combine it with electricity. So we got to find the high voltage mod right here, and you do that. All right. Now, usually when you run Corrosive, you can choose to run it with something like 100 munitions or thermite rounds or anything like that. You can choose to do that. Usually, I tend not to. I tend to just run galvanized aptitude. on the build, and then, well, this is actually pretty much what my builds look like for the most part. Um, so let's see what this does. Now, Corrosive is gonna strip a lot of the armor. It's gonna strip a ton of the armor. It's gonna go slightly slower, but it's gonna be more consistent for endgame content because you're stripping the thing that's making them tanky. So if you can kill these guys easily, you're not gonna have a ton of issues killing endgame enemies easily because you're already stripping their armor. And so Corrosive will strip up to 80% of the target's armor. Now let's say we took off the fire rate for a second. Say we took off the fire rate and we're like, you know what? I want to try thermite rounds on here. I want to see what it does, right? Let's say you wanted to do that. You could, right? So we're going to summon these guys back in and we're going to look. As you can see, they got the dot damage. Fire rate is a little slower, right? It's not too bad. Not too bad at killing. Definitely not the fastest thing in the world, but it's not terrible. You're chunking their health. You're killing them with a decent speed, right? That's what you're looking for, is the speed with which they're dying, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you what a fully kitted out build would look like, and you'll notice it's not much different. It's really not. The only thing that you would even change about this is just running critical delay over point strike, right? Like that would be pretty much the only difference. But the Arcane is what's also doing some heavy lifting here. So the Arcane that I'm using is Primary Deadhead, and you're probably wondering, where do you get these Arcanes from? Well, it depends. The Steel Path Acolytes that you come across in, you guessed it, Steel Path, they will drop these Arcanes. They will drop them when you kill them, and you can go to Lloyd in the Sanctum Anatomica to dissolve Arcanes that you don't want. Let's get Arcane packs and get Steel Path Arcanes. You can do that there as well. The Acolytes in Steel Path will drop a few different ones. They'll drop Primary Deadhead, Primary Merciless, and Primary Dexterity. And then they will drop the secondary equivalents of these. So they'll drop Primary Deadhead, Secondary Deadhead, Primary Merciless, Secondary Merciless, and Primary Dexterity and Secondary Dexterity. Primary goes on your primaries, secondary goes on your secondaries. You guessed it, right? So that's what they go on. And then you can get a bunch of these other arcanes from different places in the game. I'm not going to go over all of them because that would take a while, but that's generally what you're looking for. Now, I have not touched this weapon build in probably about 2 years. I've not touched this thing in 2 years. So you're going to see how well this performs, and this build is roughly 2.5 years old, has not been touched with the new meta or anything like that. This is what it does. Completely dead. You are decimating them in rows and everything like that. They are getting absolutely demolished. And the crits are only 20k, right? Those crits are, you know, you see some people talking about, oh, you gotta hit millions of crits, right? But you don't. Because this thing is decimating them just as easily without it, right? And I'm not even using its Incarnate mode, which is the thing that it's known for. If I pop its Incarnate mode, oh, this thing cooks. You're seeing the enemies get slaughtered, right? Because it fires like a shotgun in its Incarnate mode. And that's going to kill in Steel Path. That's going to shred. You're going to have 0 issues in Steel Path with this. So, the moral of the story, and, you know, with that being said, I hope everyone learned something from this video, is that the actual damage numbers that you hit do not matter. They really don't. I know that's a huge step in a weird direction for a lot of people because they're so used to content creators and YouTubers and everything like that, you know, ham-fisting the whole, like, you have to hit millions of damage, and you gotta hit all red crits, and you gotta hit everything known to man, right? And they feed you all of that, and they're like, yeah, you gotta hit all this stuff. When in all reality, my yellow crits do what their red crits do. And if that's the case, what does that say about their red crits? The fact that my weapon is doing what their weapon does, but at like lower damage numbers, right? And that's because of the status. It's because of how you mod the weapon, and it's the TTK that matters the most. So, with that being said, if anyone has any questions about anything involving the damage aspect of this game, anything involving weapon builds, anything involving anything like that, please let me know in the comments below and ask me any question that you would like. And with that being said, hope you all have a great day, and thank you for watching.